In Europe, the average saving rate is around 12%. If you are saving more, you're doing better than 370 million Europeans. 2 years ago, I managed to save up 70% of my income. And last year, I even managed to save up 80% of my disposable income, a new personal best. Here is how I managed that. What's up everyone, my name is Joris, welcome back to my channel. On average, Europeans spend 88% of their income, and most of these expenses go towards housing and housing costs. On average, we spend 35% of our expenses on our place to live. Transport, insurances and food also take at least 10% of our expenses from our budget. If we only save up 12% of our income, it will take almost 50 years to have saved up enough to safely retire. But to become financially independent, you will need to save up your money faster than that. You are financially independent when your passive income surpasses your yearly expenses. This is only possible if you save up enough money and use that money to invest to start building up those passive income streams. One of the most common ways of making your money make more money is to invest it in the stock market. And there you can let it grow over time. This is the easiest way, since you won't have to take the time to manage the money or the investments. You can just invest it and never really look at it again. You can also invest the money in physical real estate. So you are getting rental income when the properties are being paid off. This way of investing is more time consuming, but it is more rewarding over time. You can also invest your money in a side business and thus generate another source of income from that. Generally speaking, the more time and effort you are willing to invest in something, the better the return will be. Money saved up on a savings account is a waste of your time, so don't do it. Inflation will eat up the value of the money over time, so you might as well not save anything at all. The only exception for a savings account is your emergency savings fund. If you are looking to reach financial independence before your effective pension retirement age, you will need to be smart with your money. I have made a few videos on these topics earlier. This video, however, is about saving and how your savings rate can influence your own future. Here are my views and my experiences on the matter. Just think of it like this. Every day you have the choice to either spend your money or to save up your money and invest it. When it's spent, when the money is spent, it will give you a good feeling for a moment, for a short period of time, but when the money is invested, it will start generating more income over time and will reward you in the future. Every 100 euros you don't spend today will be worth 430 euros 25 years from now. 25 years seems like a long time, and it definitely is. But if you are planning for the future and you really want to have a good retirement, you better start investing, and you better start investing as soon as possible. Investing is a compound game. The earlier you start, the easier and the faster it gets over time. Now, back to savings rates. Ever since I started collecting data about my personal finances, I became intrigued about how much I saved every year. I personally live a pretty frugal life and often think twice before buying something. I also have a list of items I'm thinking of buying, and every time I think, well, I really need those headphones right now, I write it down on my list, and if I still need them 1 month later, I will buy them. But if not, they will be deleted from the list. And more often than not, I end up not buying the item. This has saved me a lot of money over time, and a lot of trash was also prevented. I will only use percentages from now on, since to me they say more about the evolution than actual numbers. Everyone's income and everyone's expenses are different, but with percentages we can create a global point of view. There are a lot of studies online that claim that if you save 50% of your disposable income, you can retire in 15 years. Or that you only need to live more frugally than you are living right now, just to save more and to become financially free sooner. But saving 50% of income may be easy for you, but it can be hard for someone else. Saving 50 years on a yearly income of 120,000 euros is way easier than saving 50% if you're only making 30,000 euros a year. At a certain point, it is no use trying to save more money. It is advised then to start earning more money. I quickly realized this and I decided to direct my financial journey that way. So here is my progress thus far. In 2018, I still lived at my parents' house, so I almost had no expenses that year. In that same year, I also managed to buy my first rental properties with money I saved up from jobs earlier. Overall, in that year, I managed to only save 33% of my total income. These savings consisted of 45% mortgage principal payoff and 55% in investments made that year. The major costs that year were obviously the acquisition of the properties and their initial fixes. In 2019, I moved into one of the units, which made me lose a part of my rental income every month, and it also gave me boosted living expenses. After about 6 months of living there, I started renting out part of my apartment via Airbnb, and thus again boosting my rental income to pay for the majority of my costs. From 2018 to 2019, my global income rose by 44% and my expenses even dropped by 33%. The drop in expenses was solely contributed to the buying of the properties in 2018, of course. With properties under management, my monthly expenses rose a lot. Without taking the buying cost of the properties in 2018 into the mix, my expenses rose by 166%. From very little monthly expenses to my own costs of living and the upkeep of the properties. Even with my inflated income and monthly expenses, I decided to continue living frugally and not inflate my lifestyle just yet. My personal finances changed a lot from that year to another, so I wanted to make sure I did not spend too much money to not be able to sustain my current normal. All in all, buying the properties was a good move. I now pay less in mortgage payoff and costs for my own unit than I would be paying in rent if I didn't buy a property. In the end, over 2019, I managed to save 70% of my income, of which almost half was in principal paid off, 1/3 was invested in the stock market, and around 20% was saved in cash. In 2020, we had a very strange year, and I decided to double down on the savings part and save as much as I could possibly do. All while I tried to boost my income by setting up other streams of income as well. And I managed to do just so. I boosted my income by 17%, dropped my expenses by 28% and managed to boost my savings by 36%. In 2020, I saved 81% of my global income, of which 34% in principal paid off, 15% in cash and 51% in investing in the stock market. Over the last 3 years, my monthly expenses rose by 93%, but my overall income also rose by 68%. And on top of that, my savings rate rose by 322%. What I did learn from the last few years is that you should not focus too much on saving every single euro you can find. It's often a lot more worth it to boost your income and try to save as much as you can from that new income stream. But don't get me wrong though, you need to have a great savings plan set up before you can start earning more. Otherwise, you'll just start to spend more money as you are making more money. So the first step is really creating the frugal lifestyle, or at least having a financial baseline set up. You will never become rich by just saving 1 or 2 euros per day. But if you start considering those small saving options, you will also start to look at the bigger saving opportunities. And these will not save you 1 or 2 euros a day, but maybe 1,000 euros a year. If you decide not to buy that coffee today, you might start looking at your insurances or your electricity bill, and you will find out that there are alternatives that can be a lot cheaper. For example, last year I switched electricity companies and right now I'm paying 35% less on my electricity bill. That is slightly more than a few euros saved per day. After you set up your baseline and your frugal state of mind, you can then start to focus on setting up new sources of income. With new investments often come new expenses, but the goal of your new expenses should always be to always earn more from those new investments than they will cost you. Over time, your expenses will be exponentially higher than they are right now. Look at my jump in expenses of 166% in just 1 year. The point is, don't try to save everything you can. Also look around for other types of investments. If you are earning 30,000 euros a year, it will be very hard to achieve a 70% savings rate. But if you live frugally, a 70% savings rate can easily be achieved if you are making 120,000 euros a year. Your expenses will obviously be higher than they are right now, but since your income is higher as well, you are saving a lot more. Earning more will have a bigger impact on your savings rate than reducing your monthly spending. You can raise your income by finding another job, by going to work in another country or another location, setting up side businesses, working extra hours, and obviously by investing. The options really are limitless, and so are the potential earnings. Financial independence is a long, winding road. You will have to make some decisions along the way to speed up your journey. There is no fixed direction. I cannot tell you to do this and you'll be good. You'll have to find your own way. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like for the YouTube algorithm and to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers!